Hey guys, some of you might have seen on our Wheels playlist a video about driving in Japan. So I won't repeat everything that was already on that video, but basically covers driving in Japan, licensing and owning a car and garaging a car and some of the difficulties of having a car in Japan and so on. So we've already done all that, and the bottom line with that video really was that for most people, 99% of people either visiting Japan or living in Japan as foreigners, owning a car is usually not a practical thing to do, and usually it's better just to use public transport. But we still get a lot of inquiries from people asking about renting a car in Japan, and can you rent a car in Japan, and how to rent a car in Japan, and all that sort of thing. So the answer is yes, of course, you can rent a car in Japan. You just need to have a license, driver's license. So usually most people that come here short term have an international driver's license that they bring with them from their own country. International driver's license, covered that on the other video as well. Usually they're current for 12 months, but Japan only recognises them for 6 months. But people coming here short term for a holiday can come with an international driver's license and rent a car. There's car rental places at the airports, like there are in most airports around the world, and there's also other offices, rental offices scattered around the big cities like there are in other parts of the world. It's probably a cycle, because I don't know, it's hard to know which comes first, the chicken or the egg, but I guess because renting a car in Japan is not commonly done by foreigners, most of the rental agencies aren't really set up for dealing with foreigners. So usually even at the international airports, usually there's no English, and usually all the documentation is in Japanese, and it's just not English friendly, it's just not foreigner friendly usually. So it's probably a cycle. So because not a lot of foreigners rent cars here, the companies don't gear for it, and then because they don't gear for it, foreigners don't rent here. So I've actually rented a car from an international airport in Japan from Toyota, which is a big company, and the guy told me that I was the first foreigner that rented a car from that office in that international airport. So, which is pretty amazing, isn't it? So the difficulties are, so first of all, if you go into the rental office, usually you'll find that there's no English, so you'll have to be able to speak a reasonably proficient amount of Japanese. And then of course, because you're renting a car, there's always the question and answer thing, where they ask you lots of questions, and you know, just like they do when you rent a car in any country. So there's a fair bit of communication involved, of course, and you might be really lucky and get someone who speaks English, but better chances you won't. So that you're going to have to be able to handle it all in Japanese, and then when you come to fill out the forms, you're going to have to be able to do it all in Japanese as well. So that's your first hurdle. If you manage to get past all that and then actually rent the car, then you go sit in the car, and you'll find that the navigation system can only be set in Japanese. So some of the car navigation systems, you can set them to English, but all it means is that it'll talk in English. So so when it comes to give instructions, it'll give them in English. Turn left at the next intersection and that sort of stuff. But you still have to set it in Japanese, which means you've got to be able to read Japanese, basically, because you need to be able to set the address using Japanese. So again, car navigation system is not English friendly, so you have to have a fairly high level of reading Japanese to be able to handle the car navigation system. Or you need an atlas, road atlas. There's some old technology. You need a road atlas in English, or that you can read. So that's your next hurdle, and then you actually start driving, and then you've got to be able to handle the highways and the streets and the intersections, and you'll find that the exit signs and things on the big highways are often in Romaji, so that even if you can't read Japanese, you should be able to read them. But once you get off the main roads into the smaller areas like this one, the Romaji becomes really rare. So, and then roads like this one don't have road names. We've covered this in another video before as well. It doesn't work like that. There's not road names where you can read a street sign and see where you are. They don't have them here. It works off intersections and blocks and other things like that. So navigation is really difficult. So I mean, we covered that stuff in that other video too about driving in Japan. So yeah, it's not easy, but you can do it. You can do it. You can walk in, if you can get past the Japanese hurdles, and rent the car, and then off you go. So it is doable, of course. And then some people have other navigation systems that they use in their phones and things like that. And there is some of those on the English Friendly Directory under navigation systems, I think it is. There's an example of that. It's actually an English language navigation system you can get for your phone. So it's doable. It is doable. It is doable. So the answer is yes, you can, and the answer is that yes, it's possible. But it's not easy. It's not easy. And finding your way around is not too easy. But yeah, it's definitely doable. I mean, for most people, really, you're better off using trains, because the train system here is amazing. So trains and buses are usually better, and obviously cheaper too. So cost of renting a car here starts at 5,000 yen or 6,000 yen a day, I guess, 7,000 yen a day, something like that for a really simple little car. So it's doable. We did find, in researching for this for you, looking around a bit, we did actually find an English friendly car rental agency in Japan. Most of them aren't. We contacted lots of them, and most of them just aren't. They don't rent to foreigners, just because foreigners don't rent from them. It's not that the car rental agencies don't want to rent to foreigners. It's just that most foreigners don't rent cars in Japan, so that's why they're not geared for it. So, but we did find one. So we'll put a link under this video, and if you 6 months from now, if you want to find them, or tomorrow, if you want to find them, just go to the English Friendly Directory and car rental, and they're all over Japan, but the easiest one to find is Tokyo. So just car rental Kanto Tokyo, and you'll be able to see the information about that site. And they've actually got email address that you can email and book. So you can say, I want to rent a car from Tokyo to here, to here, to here. And they've actually got an email address that's specifically for foreigners, that somebody who can understand English will read. So, and then they'll respond to you in English. And she said, the lady I was talking to said that it's possible that the branch you go to, there'll be no English speakers, but they'll know you're coming. So in other words, if you use this email address to book the car, they'll tell the branch that this person is coming who can't speak Japanese, and they'll set everything up for you so that you'll be able to walk in, and basically the form paperwork should be done, and you just sign and pay the money and walk out the door. So that's helps you overcome that hurdle anyway. So at least that's English friendly, and then the rest of it's up to you. You can use, I mean, that navigation system's not bad. That's on the English Friendly Directory too, navigation systems. Can't remember the name of it now, but it's there, you'll see it, navigation system. And you can use that on a phone, but yeah. The problem is if those things fail, that's where people get into trouble. If they're using a navigation system and it fails, or sometimes what I found with the navies is that the Japanese navigation system will sometimes get you close to your destination and then say you have arrived, and then shuts down. And you look around and where is it? Where is it? You know, and it's sort of got you within a few hundred yards, which in Japan, who knows where the destination could be. So that's where you get into trouble, is that it'll get you almost there and it'll stop and you go, right, where am I? So, but the information's there. So English Friendly Directory, car rental, Tokyo, and also if you look at navigation systems, well, Tokyo as well, but other places as well on the directory there, and that'll give you those two bits of useful stuff, and that'll help anyway. So anyway, hope you found that useful and interesting. More videos coming soon.